Hello everyone, this is part 18 of What If Naruto Gained Ashura's Memories, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Sasuke froze when he felt the bee-chilling feeling pass over him again. It felt like chakra, yet it wasn't. It felt exactly the same. He'd felt down on the shore, facing off against the Sora shinobi. Ototo, he whispered dreadfully. Indra-sama, something's wrong. Neji asked. In any other situation he would have chided Neji for being formal with him, they were friends, after all. In any other situation, he would have chided the Hyuga for calling him by his ancient name, even if he was, truthfully, more comfortable with that name. That name meant a living family, a father, a little brother, 9 older siblings, an uncle and 2 cousins, even if one of them was abbot of Ajurk. Being Sasuke meant he had nothing but betrayal and be to his name, and a brother, who while loved him, and whom he loved, just as he loved Ashura, was burdened and broken in his own way. But this was not that situation. They were apart, on a mission, with something dark lurking somewhere, and Konoha was at war. So, instead of chiding Neji for the name and the formal tone, he just made a vague gesture at their paths. Ototo's in trouble. We should go. The moon bless his soul, Neji didn't ask what was going on or how he could know from such a distance, because this was beyond his natural sensory range. The older teen just nodded and made a gesture for him to lead the way. Sasuke did just that. He leapt back towards the direction from where they'd come. As he sped off the place, he reached for his shakujo, every muscle in his body tense, as the full chakra, no, he wasn't even sure that full something could be called chakra, filled his senses. Fat is that? Neji asked, as they sped forwards. What do you see? My Sharingan is advanced, yes, but it was never meant to detect chakra in the way Byakugan does, he said. Neji frowned. An energy. I'm not sure what it is. A world say it's chakra, but chakra is blue. Or red, if we involve Biju and Jinchuriki. Perhaps green or gold, if Naruto, but, he asked, just a silver of impatience and desperation slipping into his tone. He'd never really seen chakra in color, like Mitra and her kin. For him, chakra was the same silvery blue, save for the Bijuses, and of course medical chakra, which appeared green, but that didn't need the Sharingan. And even if his Sharingan was active, the medical chakra would appear a mix of blue and green. Byakugan users, however, could see chakra in color. Or at least, with a soft hue, he guessed, as long as the one in possession of the dojutsu was proficient enough. He remembered that Mitra had always been capable of telling which of the 5 elements was the easiest for someone, because the chakra would have a soft color associated with the element. This one. Neji looked at him, his face confused, fearful and sickened at the same time. It's black. Well, purplish black to be accurate, but. Sasuke lost his footing in shock and Neji skidded to a halt, reaching for him. He got his bearings back just in time, all to the Hyuga's hand clasped around his lower arm, like Avis, keeping him steady. He took a shaky breath and rightened himself, nodding to his friend. Arigato. Sasuke cursed mentally. Only one creature, that he knew of, had such chakra, was the Jubi, because, while a Gododom were black in color, they were made of the 7 elements and that would be detected by Neji. Besides, he felt no particular element associated to the energy. Something's wrong. Neji asked, what's with that chakra? Sasuke growled. It means that we're in big trouble, and gods forbid, do you remember the story of the Jubi? Yes. What about it? Only Thatha's black chakra. So, whatever that is, out there, is somehow linked to the Shinju, and that does not bode well. Because anything outside of the seal, that gains power, helps the seal weaken, thus speeding up the resurrection of the beast. Neji grunted. Wonderful. I doubt that fighting a primordial god. Practically, it would just be the essence of it. Sasuke injected. A Shade, not the actual Shinju. Whatever. Neji huffed, as they resumed their way towards the location, because fighting that thing, whatever it is not in the job description of Shinobi. Especially not in the job description of Chunin. Sasuke threw him a look. No, not in the job description of Shinobi. but a ties in the job description to a disciple of Ninshu. And you are a own such disciple. Neji's eyes narrowed on him. There isn't even a job description for a follower of Ninshu. I doubt the sage has written one, he deadpanned. Hyuga, you're forgetting that we are the sons of said sage. We were the second generation to be born with chakra. Ninjutsu as you know it today, was born between mine and Ashura's hand. So as such, it is well within my rights, to draw up a job description, if you so insist to hold such a doent. Neji twitched. F you, Uchiha. Sasuke snorted. You can't even deny being Mitra's B. That thing. Kurama snarled, it feels vaguely like your power. Naruto finished, Biju presence, yet it is not. Malevolent, dark, chaotic in every possible way. Hated and grief, the creature screeched and launched at him. Naruto leapt into the air to avoid it. He landed soundlessly on the ground, facing the beast again. Yes, that power. You're interesting Uzumaki Naruto. The sickening grin spread across its visage again. You have something interesting there. Oh, show me the darkness in your heart. Naruto spat at the spirit. You're sorely mistaken, Onryo, if you think a world let you take my power. Or my brother's. He sent a pulse of chakra trough his system, which shut the sealed tear, see off Kurama completely. The spirit shrieked in rage and swung him wildly. He crashed painfully against the rocky earth and groaned. Hell, this was worse than his brother scoring a full strength hit, when he was unprepared. The leech, could it even beckled a leech, dragged its tentacles back, which raised him into the air. Let him go, you sickening F. Ninshu, Suki no Sierra Kama. Shinobi Creed, Spirit Scythe of the Moon, he heard Sasuke call. Then, suddenly, a great wave of chakra, bluish-purple in cooler hit the creature, see it in half. It shrieked again and the tentacles let him go. Naruto groaned and the next moment, he fell to the ground. Neji and Sasuke appeared next to him in a burst of speed, his brother pointing his shakujo, still glowing with chakra, at the apparition. They watched as it drew back and slowly reattached itself, hissing and shrieking, enraged even more. What the hell? Neji see it in half. That's the problem with these creatures. Sasuke growled. Enni-sama. Naruto groaned, rubbing the sore spots in his arm, it has Amaru. I'm guessing it took hold of her, in her grief. As long as that's the case, you can't even attempt to get rid of it, or Amaru D. Sasuke murmured something vaguely rude, before turning to face the Ribi. Snap out of it, Amaru. You're a medic, no. Medic save lives, not destroy them. Naruto looked at the creature. Shina trusted you to carry on his teachings. To heal. He said he was proud of you, proud of a girl, who smiled and healed. One who wanted to turn the world a better place. Apprentices honor their master's teachings. Don't destroy everything, that's good. Shino may be gone, Sasuke added, but you have to hold on to his legacy. His memory. The good times. As long as you do what he taught you to, he'll be there with you, even when he is not. You're not alone then. There was a flicker, and then another. The next minute, the leech dissolved, leaving black snippets of chakra, before they were gone too. Dr. Shino. Amaru muttered, before her eyes closed and then she fell, unconscious. Unknown location. The man frowned, as the Ribi returned into its cocoon. So it seems, the blonde is more powerful than it seemed at first, not many can contain darkness so well. There was barely anything in him and even with the QB there, he's a clear mind. On the top of it, the darkness also faded from Amaru's heart. The man slowly walked up to the massive, golden circle on the floor, that was full of strange symbols. His steps echoed eerily, in the mostly silent room. Only the clack and click of the machine broke the silence periodically. No matter, this should be enough to get started and then the world can be drowned in conflict. Soon, I will have all the darkness I could ever wish for. And with that darkness, comes the power. The man bit his finger and then crouched down to draw a single symbol on the gold, with his B. Then he channeled some chakra into it, and then the thing lit up with golden light. Activate, Ankavantian. Sasuke watched as Naruto worked on the seal. Since the thing was somehow connected to the Jubi, they would have to seal it, as simply destroying it would mean that it might be able to reform, if it got enough negative energy to feed on. Which would in turn, would further feed Thedatara. Not a good thing, since the primary objective was to stop it, not make it stronger. A little ways away, Amaru sat on the ground in front of the ruined steps, her head down, crying. Sasuke twitched. That was the one thing he despised. Crying. Weakness was one thing, it existed to be overcome. But crying meant that the person couldn't take the consequences of their actions and were expecting pity. He slowly walked up to her and nudged her with the shakujo. Snap out of it, girl. Only pathetic people cry. It's fine to make mistakes, everyone makes them. Amaru looked up at him. It's fine to be sad for making the mistakes. But strength comes from realizing the mistakes and working to correct them. Sitting here and crying and feeling sorry for yourself won't take you anywhere in life. In fact, sitting here and beating yourself up about the mistake is what may ruin your life even more. Amaru's breath hitched and the fat tears slipped down her face. I didn't mean. You didn't mean. Sasuke asked sharply, arching an eyebrow. My brother's stronger than he looks. You did nothing that cannot be healed by some chakra, and he can do that for himself. Either snap out of it and decide that you'll change your life yourself, so something like this won't happen again, or you can sit here and wait for the thing to come back. But then, you're just going to feed it more power. Do you want that? Her eyes snapped to him and she shook her head. No. I'm here to save the villagers. Then stand you pandoit. Crying won't save them, he said, eyes flashing. Amaru blinked, her blue eyes shinier than normal due to all the tears. After a moment of silence, she wiped her face and stood up. Her eyes steeled over, as the gazes met. I want to, no, but will save them. Sasuke allowed Atani's smirk to appear on his lips. So you do have the guts, after all, huh? Rare for a civilian. I'm done with the seal. Naruto announced, we can go. Sasuke stole his brother a glance, just to see him fill up a big scroll, that had a Ratha complex seal on it. From this distance, he couldn't tell if it was a containment seal or a space-time one, meant to stuck the creature in a seal-created pocket dimension. Not that it mattered, they will be sending the thing in 10th dimension and it shall never be brought out again. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, when he sensed the tremor going trough the place. Something was not right. Neji and Naruto both perked up, probably noticing it as well. Get inside, he snapped, grabbing Amaru. Naruto grabbed the scroll and Neji stood up as well. They leapt onto the stairs as even more of the ground broke up. As the great chunks of earth and foliage fell away, he noticed grey stone underneath, which was rising. Towers and stairs rose from the ground, until an entire city was underneath them. But it didn't stop rising there. The tremors and the energy, the same sickening one he'd felt from the creature, intensified, until he felt the entire thing rise. Naruto and Neji were right behind them, for which he was grateful. What the hell is this? Neji asked, as the city moved, flying as if it were a feather and not a massive construct of stone and wood. We're flying and we need to get down, Sasuke said. Neji scowled. I noticed. What do we do? He asked, as they hurried inside. He shared a look with Naruto and then both of them looked at the Hyuga. Go. Look for the villages. We'll deal with the flying city and the Monza, Naruto said. Neji gave Anad and then, they split up. Sasuke huffed, looking at the russet and his brother. This place gives me creeps. Let's get done with it fast. Naruto nodded and then they bolted inside. If they were lucky, the main corridor would take them to the control room, where they could stop this thing. They only took one turn on the long, shady corridor, when they came across a group of shinobi. Sasuke noted that they all had the same attire and headband, like the ones who'd attacked Konoha. His Sharingan narrowed on them. Shinobi of Sora no Kuni. Even before he could think of using ninjutsu to get rid of the obstacle, Naruto released a blast of chakra and K intent. Kurama's chakra. In a flash of speed, he was next to Amaru, his Sharingan morphing, as he pulled up a half-complete Susanoo to shield him from the chakra, as it burst from Naruto in a wave of searing red. What is? Amaru gasped, looking at his Susanoo and Naruto at once. Safety for you and a quick passage, without having to fight. That's all you have to know, he said curtly. The Sora shinobi see, staring at Naruto with wide, terror-sickened eyes. Naruto released another blast of chakra, this time amplified by some wind, and it sent the men flying against the wall, knocking them out. With the group knocked out, Naruto slowly pulled back the two-tailed cloak and Sasuke allowed Susanoo to fade. In the distance, he could see some light, they were probably close to the control room. They shared a look and then moved forwards again, jumping over the unconscious bee. The control room was a big, circular place filled with odd, bluish-white light, and there was a stone throne in the middle of the room. The floor and the walls were full of symbols that created some sort of seal, and the script kept pulsing with energy. The hairs on the back of his neck stood straight, as he sensed the malevolent energy, more potent than ever before. So, probably this was the vessel of that disgusting creature. The walls were full of fuinjutsu writing, and there was a big cocoon, connected to the wall, trough several tubes. And there, in the middle of the room, sitting on the great stone throne, was Shino, very much alive and unharmed. "I'm so very proud of you, children," Shino said in a measured tone. Sasuke twitched. He wasn't Akiled anymore, thank you very much. The only one who had Naruto call him Akiled was his father, or perhaps Uncle Hamura. But neither of them were here. Amaru's face twisted into an odd mix of grief and relief, before she shot forward, right at the old man. Ik knew it. She jumped at the man with such zeal, that Shino sat on the throne, laughing softly, as he hugged the rusette. Sasuke watched, suspicion growing in his heart. He stole a glance at Naruto. His brother's expression was blank, but Sasuke cold felt cogs in his mind turning. There was a slight tug at his chakra, as Naruto connected their minds, and for a second, he glimpsed Kurama too, laying on the lawn, ears down, his teeth flashing, more pulled back in a silent, deadly snarl. Something's up, Naruto hissed into his mind. The man reeks of that twisted energy. Not exactly like a Jinchuriki, but somehow connected to that Jubi wannabe. I'm more concerned about him being alive in general. He did, after all, trick an experienced Byakugan user, and you. Sasuke shot back. I believed in you. Ik knew you were still alive. Ik knew you wouldn't leave me. Amaru said, as Shino kept stroking her head. Sasuke eyed the white-haired man, doing his best to appear somewhat surprised. How are you still alive, Shino-san? My brother is K-medic, and I believe him, if he says you were D. Let's see, that's a tricky one. Even if you explain, I doubt your minds could fully grasp it, he said slowly. Sasuke twitched, and from the corner of his mind, he saw that Naruto was at the end of his temper, too. Does the F take us for complete fools? Naruto spat. He shouldn't be alive. Did he somehow ditch the rules of ninja, and life in general? Sasuke's gaze shifted. I've no idea what he could have possibly, re the medic, Ototo. We're inside a flying fortress, Kaldankorvantian. It looks like ancient ruins, but it's been painstakingly designed and constructed over several decades by shinobi from Sora no Kuni. It's the ultimate weapon of destruction. Sasuke snarled. Ankorvantian, it was in the ancient language of So no Kuni. A language he honestly thought had fallen forgotten, with only himself and his siblings remaining the only speakers. Not that Thayu said it, but still. Fortress of the King. Sasuke translated, his eyes narrowing. Shino looked at him with slight surprise. You've got the balls for sure, to use the ancient language of chakra, you know. Not to mention, Naruto added, violet eyes narrowed, that you're a goddamn good at deception, so it would seem. To deceive a Hyuga of the Byakugan and a medic, because I am a fully trained one. Did you somehow ditch the laws of nature and chakra? Well, you're a good one, I have to admit. Shino nodded. Your chakra is more powerful than I thought it would be, and then, I hadn't even felt the QB from you. So your chakra is either extraordinary, or the fame of your Yondaime is not as big as his knowledge. After you believed D, which is a convenient side effect of my best and strongest technique, I revived my damaged organs using Minakutai Kase no Jutsu. Body revival technique. Now, I really don't like what you're talking about. Naruto hissed. You still haven't caught on, yet? Shino asked, pushing Amaru farther, so he could stand up. He took the cloth from her and tossed her away, tearing her headband to pieces. Naruto moved fast and, using some chakra to anchor himself, caught Amaru, who groaned a bit. Oh, we caught up. Sasuke growled out, as he stole a glance at his brother. You either want power or you want revenge. Same old, same old. 14 years ago, I posed as a doctor and traveled the world, all the while gathering control on how to control the Ribi. Ribi, Sasuke growled out. He didn't like the sound of that. There were only 9 Biju. Plus the primordial god, which was better off forgotten. Sadly, it wasn't forgotten, otherwise the Madara wannabe would not be controlling Jinchuriki. It took me 14 years to find the scroll that helped me revive the beast. But find it did, hidden in Konoha of all places. At last, I mastered the Ribi and its vast power of dark chakra. Dark chakra, Naruto murmured, slowly letting go of Amaru and walking up next to him. That's not chakra, you fool. Not a sort of power humans meant to control. Wait, Naruto. He's not behaving like himself. Maybe we can cure him somehow. Amaru pleaded, catching Naruto's arm. Sasuke looked down at the girl, pity sparking in his heart at the sight of her tears. That's what he is, kid. A sick fool, who wants power. He tricked you. Once, he's been a shinobi, and shinobi, retired or active, cheat, lie and cater of the goals. This time, the only difference is, that his goals were entirely selfish. There was a ripping sound and they shifted the gazes at the man, watching as he tore up Amaru's bandana. Wrong diagnosis, Amaru, and for once, the Uchiha is correct. Shinobi trick, lie and cheat. When darkness is present in people's hearts, the Ribi can take hold of them and turn the darkness of their hearts into actual chakra. Once he understood that, it was quite simple. Darkness of the heart, Naruto said, eyes narrowing. Shino looked smug. People overcome by despair. When sadness washes over them, people focus great anger and hatred at the source of their misery and in doing so, create the darkest of chakras. Sasuke scowled. Dark chakra, huh? The F really just wants to feed the Jubi. Looks like one doesn't have to be an Uchiha to fall headfirst into the Nikushimi no Noroi. I've ordered the attack on your village, Shino said casually, looking at Amaru, so the Ribi would possess you. No. You're lying. He isn't, Naruto said, his tone chilly. Amaru froze. For once in his life, the bastard speaks the truth. Shino smirked down at the broken girl. You were nothing but a convenient pawn in my plan, he said, laughing manically. Sasuke gave the man a deadpan stare. Shinju, he's lost it. He stole a glance at Naruto. Oh Toto, was I like this too, when Zetsu had hold of me? Naruto gave him a half sheepish, half sad look. Kind of. Hate is power, gonna rule the world, all that manic speech. And the laugh too. Kami, tie me down, if something like that ever happens. Oh, and use a silencing seal or something. Please. This F is completely mad. I don't ever want to be like that again. Hurts my head even listening to him, he said in disgust. You won't be, Ni-sama. We're sticking together, no matter what. Naruto assured him, as the gazes returned to the mad doctor. Haha, after you saved a person's life, they'll never doubt you about anything at all. Naruto spat at Shino. Bastard, you don't just abuse people's trust, like a toy you can throw away, when you get tired of it. Sasuke's eyes shifted, as he felt the power rise in the room and slowly, dark energy, black as sooth, surrounded Shino. Amara was on the floor, crying and clutching her head. Ni-sama, the place is full of negative energy. If we don't stop the F soon, it's going to unhinge my senses. Naruto said, and then his eyes landed on Amaru. Snap out of it, Amaru. Sasuke felt a tendril of calming Mokuton chakra sneak towards Amaru and wrap around her. He turned away, reassured that his brother had an eye on the Rusette. With burning Sharingan, he turned to the man. You're going to pay very, very dearly for this. He leapt at the man, but as Shino raised his hand, a great gust of wind came, throwing him back. Sasuke cursed and flipped in the air, landing in a crouch. That wastes indeed a fraction of the Jubi's power, and trough it, the bastard had actual control over the elements. Just as they could use ninju to manipulate nature itself. Dark chakra isn't only used to reawaken the Ribi. It has other uses too. For example, it can dothus, the chakra output grew, covering Shino in a dark cloud and Sasuke could feel his stomach doing flips. Gods, this energy was disgusting. How could Naruto stand it? With his special sensory and Kurama sharpening his senses even more, he was sure Naruto felt this about 10 times worse. The energy whirled around the man restlessly, until it created a vortex. Then, when the whirlwind faded, Shino stood tall and young, his hair now black, his body showing signs of immense improvement. That was the Nakutaikase no this form, I can open all of the Hachiman without any drawbacks. They shared a look and then Naruto jumped right at Shino, fist back. The man caught it, but his eyes went wide in surprise. Are you using chakra augmented strength? Impressive feat of control, from a Jinchuriki. Sasuke appeared behind the man in a precise shunshin and delivered his own blow. Not expecting it, Shino went tumbling forwards and Naruto used that chance to step aside and deliver another chakra-packed punch. Shino went skidding forth on the floor with a groan. Sasuke darted forwards, but Naruto was faster. As Shino stood, his brother was already there, his cold as the northeast lands of Yuki no Kuni. You're a fool, if you think we'll let you get away with trying to destroy the nations for power or for revenge. Love and Kamadaya are things that matter. He punched Shino again and the man groaned, as Naruto flared his chakra. This time the punch sent the bastard flying badly enough so that he damaged his own throne in flight. As Naruto's chakra flared, Sasuke smiled at the calming, serene feel. Ah, yes, the feel of safety and nature. Warm and welcoming. That feel, that was what he could never make his chakra feel like. Sure, if he was careful what he allowed people to feel, they'd feel the warmth and off-prickling, but otherwise, on a daily basis, his chakra had the more dangerous feel to it, so he'd been told. Alter, Naruto only seemed to sense the heat that came with his mastery of Kaiten and simply drew comfort from that, where others ended up running. But then again, his brother had always done the opposite of what he was supposed to. Shino's eyes went wide. What is happening? My chakra. Sasuke saw the black energy rise and he smirked. Maybe when their father compared Ashura to the sun, it was a bit more than figure speech. With all that love and positivity in him, his brother was indeed like a miniature sun, whose very presence meant hope. And his chakra reflected that, all life and light, which was completely opposed to this dark whatever, hence why it was slipping from the man's grasp. Seeing his chance, Sasuke sparked his own chakra and with a flick of his fingers, his technique was flying. Ninshu, Raibari, Shinobi Creed, lightning needles. Then suddenly, the wall came tumbling down and 4 individuals stood on the other side, all of them dressed similarly and their chakra felt quite cold. They had sneers on their faces, as they approached. So we finally found you, the only female of the group said. She had bright red hair, which would have fit a Uzumaki any day. However, her chakra was completely different. It was nowhere near as massive and more fluid, more accustomed to genjutsu, than the great chakra cost of nin or fuinjutsu. Orochimaru-sama requires your assistance, doctor, the one with 6 arms said. Sasuke frowned, as his eyes scanned the strangers. What sort of abominations of nature were they? One had 6 arms and another one had 2 heads, alter only one seemed to be conscious. Oh, and why should it help him? Shino asked. Well, you can come with us quietly, or we can use force, the big, orange-haired one pointed out. You can't force me to do anything. With this technique, I'm stronger than you all. Sasuke's gaze flickered over the man and he could barely resist a smirk. Any second now. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead then. Come at us, he taunted. Shino growled and leapt at the 4 newcomers, who backpedaled to avoid the attack. Sasuke scowled. Naruto appeared in front of the man and punched him again. Shino stumbled back, but his yellow eyes were full of anger. You little. He released more of the foul energy, which formed the black aura around him again. The remnants of his Raibari sunk into the man's body and even without Abyakugan, he knew they'd closed off several of his tenketsu. Shino suddenly stood up straight, his eyes narrowing and a painful grunt leaving his lips. Then he fell to his knees, crying out in pain, curling in on himself for a second. The energy flickered out of existence and his body started deteriorating and aging several decades in seconds. His muscles disappeared, leaving thin, frail body and his mane-like black hair became white, falling off, leaving him mostly bald. Sasuke allowed a smirk to cross his lips at the scene. And, score goes to Tsuzuki Indra. Naruto rolled his eyes and Kurama huffed into his mind, all to trough the link they shared, he could feel both of his brother's satisfaction. What's the matter? Sasuke asked, as the man looked up at him with a spark of fear and hate. Can't heal yourself. What have you done? He rasped out. My brother is a medic, you fool. It can't use the arts, but it know enough. The moment chakra control is ruined, it's all over. When you have the right tool, he flicked his fingers, to show his Raibara forming on the tips for a second, before flicking the crackling needles at the cocoon. To his shock, there was no harm done to the substance. His eyes narrowed. What the? It absorbed the chakra. Kurama said. The beast inside shrieked sharply, starting to move. Oh, do you like that? The Ribi absorbs others' chakra and converts it to power for itself. Any chakra you release here will be more fuel for Ankavantian, which means you can't do atting. Hey, old man, I don't care what you do with these two Konoha fools, you know why we came. The redhead shouted, obviously losing her patience. Shino huffed. Orochimaru doesn't want me, kid. His hand passed over a part of the wall to reveal a secret compartment. Inside it, a scroll. He wants this. He grabbed the scroll and tossed it. The six-armed abomination caught it, smirking widely. Now, I like this. The two-headed one said, we have it, so let's go. Sasuke grit his teeth and looked at Naruto. There was a pulse of energy, as Shino released more of his chakra and the cocoon moved, growing tentacles, which then wrapped around the man and raised him up. The four strangers backed up. Sasuke's Sharingan flickered to them. Let them go, we have this bastard to deal with for now. Snake Face and his minions can wait. Agreed, Naruto answered, as the cocoon completely sallowed Shino. Do you really think Ankavantian was just a fancy floating fortress and just for its sake, a world dare to meddle with a Biju, just to have it flying? Did that bastard just compare that abomination to our siblings? Naruto snarled. Sasuke's Sharingan spun wildly. That was crossing the line. So it seems. You sick fool. That, inside the cocoon, whatever apparition it is, he spat, is no Tabiju and comparing it to the nine is plain insulting. With this power, with this ultimate weapon of destruction, I will bring the end of the Godaikoku. He called before the slime completely sallowed him up. The cocoon started glowing and the released energy ran across the walls, lightened up the Fuinjutsu symbols in bright blue. The energy made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Violent static at the same time, not a nice combination. Outside, the energy filled the Ankavantian and then it got released in a great, condensed, bright yellow beam, tearing trough forest and mountain, like hot knife trough butter. Miles away, on the shore, where Shikamaru, Shino and Kakashi were still keeping an eye out for the enemy, watched the beam pass over the water, destroying the dry land in its wake and electrolusing the water. They had to leap backwards, to avoid the sharp arcs of electricity, traveling across the liquid. Wide-eyed and shocked, the gazes flickered in the direction where the beam had disappeared and to where it had come from. Shikamaru see. What just happened? Kakashi's lone eye settled resolutely on the spot, where the energy had first appeared. Naruto, Sasuke, are you two alright? Inside Ankavantian. The entire room shook with the released energy, before the light of the seals dimmed, but the cocoon remained glowing. You see, that is the power of Sora no Kuni. Shino called, his voice bouncing about the room. The creature moved inside its restraints again, this time looking at them. It seemed the man could somewhat control that thing. And after I destroyed each of the Godaikoku, I can create the Sky Empire. You're insane, if you think we're going to allow that. Naruto spat. He grabbed the shakujo from his back and after sharing a brief glance with Sasuke, they ran at the beast. It grew chakra arms from the cocoon, which he avoided, by leaping over them. Sadly, however, there were too many chakra arms and despite severing many, they were still caught. Neji ran trough the winding corridors, following the strange not quiet chakra. He'd come across a few guards, but a few fire-imbued chakra strikes dealt with them. He was sure, this was a situation, where he was allowed to K. These madmen had bombarded Konoha, so it was time for some sort of payback anyway. He took another turn and skidded to a halt, when he found the villagers, all of them huddled in one cell, downtrodden and quiet. The hair-raising, dark energy surrounded them so thickly, that he thought it might see them. The bars are full of Fuinjutsu Shiki and there's chakra, energy, running inside. If I touch it, I might get shocked or worse. Maybe I should have asked Ashura for some Fuinjutsu training, while he'd been helping Hikaru with sensory. His gaze traveled over the room and then he noticed the small circular control panel above his head. It was where the chakra was concentrated. He smirked. Gotcha. He ran trough the familiar hand seals and formed a single blazing projectile. Kaiten, Moaruhari. Fire release, burning needle. He tossed the needle up, right into the middle of the circle, which broke and cracked with energy, before blowing up. The people inside the cell were jolted to attention, just as the seals flickered out and the lock clicked. Neji sighed in relief and opened the door, waving at the people. Get out, now, he said, we've to hurry. What now? Sasuke asked. We can't seal him like this. Naruto growled. No. It will just absorb all the chakra meant to power the seal. It can't use Kurama's either, because that would feed him even more, and I refuse to feed Thathangani more of his chakra. It would eventually feed the Jubi but it's not the Jubi. It obviously doesn't have that sort of intelligence. It seeks out negativity, but it is entirely human controlled. Sasuke thought back. Naruto gave him a deadpan stare. Obviously. No. I mean, you put seals on my shakujo and managed to fill the seals with nature chakra. Uncontrolled nature chakra turns the host into stone. If it's encased in stone, you may have enough time to seal it. Naruto grinned and nodded. And that's why you're the Ninshu no Tensei, Ni-sama. Go along. Sasuke struggled a bit to free his hand, and Shino's voice filled the air again, from inside the beast. What do you hope to achieve? You cannot win against a Biju. For the 1000th time, Sasuke snarled, as he freed his arm, do not compare that abomination to Orsabelings. And what that, he drove the lower end of his shakujo into the chakra arm, which caused the leech to shriek. Hoken Fuin, Kai. Storage seal, release. The weapon lit up with soft green light and released the chakra. As expected, the apparition immediately started to absorb the great quantities of energy. But moments after the process started, the chakra arms started to turn into stone. What are you doing? What is this? Shino demanded, enraged. The dangerous beauty of senjutsu. Sasuke smirked and Naruto rolled his eyes at the choice of words. Uncontrolled natural energy turns the thing it's injected with, into stone. No. Quote. Uzumaki Fuin Shiki, Akuma Fujikome. Uzumaki sealing style, demon containment. The seal lit up in yellow and spread outwards from the scroll, and then chakra chains repeated from it, wrapping around the stone cocoon. With a great pull, the cocoon was broken off of the tubes, which had also turned into stone, and dragged into the seal with a great flash. The seal remained glowing a searing orange for a few seconds, before the symbols receded onto the scroll again and settled back, as it had originally been drawn, now completely black. He grinned at Sasuke. Your turn. However, even before anything else could be done, there was a massive tremor and they watched, as the wall broke apart, the stones coming down. What the hell? Naruto growled, as they watched the whole thing fall apart. It seems Shino did speak true about the Ribi powering this thing. Now that it's sealed, it's coming apart. There was another great rumble and the ceiling came down on them. Neji cursed, as he felt the whole fortress tremble. The villagers were now safely inside one of the flying devices that the Soranin had developed, which was a great relief. Get inside, he told Amaru. The girl's eyes flashed stubbornly. No. What about you, Naruto and Sasuke? Don't worry about us, Amaru-san, he said calmly. We're shinobi. We can get out of tough spots like this. I hope either Naruto or Sasuke have a plan about getting out, or we'll die very, very young. They might reincarnate, but I want and I'd like to have a long life, thank you very much, he thought. But, just stay seated, Amaru, he said sternly, which surprised her. I'll launch the device, and if the calculations are correct, it will land on the beach, near the spot where some of my comrades are. They'll get treatment for the few who need it and then get you home. Her eyes were wide, as Heshun leaned over to the control panel and pulled the arm. The flying device was launched and he watched with a spark of relief. At least this mess will only have 3 casualties. Mission complete, he murmured, they're safe. He watched it maneuver towards the general direction of the beach for a moment, before he turned away. If they die here, he'd prefer to die with some company. He hurried inside, Byakugan active, looking for the brothers. He didn't have to look for long, because the two were heading straight for him. Naruto's chakra levels were lower than usual, so he supposed it was thanks to him that this mess was over, and as an undesired consequence, the fortress was coming apart. Neji, Sasuke called, Amaru and I found them and I met Amaru on the way. All of them are safe, I sent them off on one of the flying devices here. But that was the only one, so we kind of can't get out. They hurried out, dodging the falling stones, only to end up on the launching platform again. He gestured at the tracks. I sent them off, as you can see, but that was the only device and it was filled to the brim anyway. he sighed, as the ruins kept plummeting towards the water. Any plans? Or should I? It was a honor to meet and learn from you. The two of them shared a look. Don't give up just yet, Neji. Ninshu Rule 2, never lose hope. Oh. My apologies, Almighty Suki no Urashi. Do you perhaps have a plan? How do we get off of this place, before the crash chaos? If not the crash, then the water. Yes, in fact, Edo. Sasuke said seriously, and then Neji saw his eyes be into red, but instead of the three tomo, he saw the six-pointed star. Nisama, if you want to pull this off, you might need some chakra. Naruto offered, as they linked hands. Sasuke looked uncomfortable, but it was obvious, he knew the blonde was right. Neji offered his own hand. Take some from me too. I'm nowhere near as powerful as you, but whatever you're planning to do, might just save us, and this is the least I can do. Sasuke looked surprised, before one corner of his lips curled upwards, despite the dire situation. Arigato. They linked hands, and then Naruto's chakra spiked. Ninshu, chakra hoju, ninja creed, chakra sharing. Neji gasped, as Naruto's dense, lively, chakra entered his system, passing through him, pushing some of his own chakra out. Sasuke waited a few moments, and then slowly, a soft flame of purplish blue formed around him, the complex pattern in his eyes spinning fast. Sasuke's eyes landed on him, and Neji found that even without Agenjutsu in effect, the gaze was almost hypnotic. Do you trust me, Neji? He asked. Neji nodded without hesitation. After all that he'd seen and gone through after the Chunin exams, he had no reason to doubt these two. Completely, he answered without missing a beat. Good, Sasuke said. Then, both of them started running, and Neji stumbled a bit before he found the rhythm to keep up with them. Then, even before he had the chance to protest, or ask questions, they jumped. As the wind rushed past them, tearing his hair out of its restraints, Neji cursed. Maybe it was too hasty with that answer. Kakashi sighed, as they helped the last of the civilians out of the flying device. Everyone was safe, but where were his pseudo little brothers? And Neji? Concealing his worry, he turned to the russet, who'd asked for help in the first place. Her name was Amari, or Amaru, yes, Amaru. Where are my students and Neji? Her bright eyes brimmed with tears. Naruto and Sasuke stayed to deal with Shishino. He tricked us, he was the one to order the attack. He led the foreign ninja. He wanted to destroy the 5 nations with, she hiccupped. Naruto and Sasuke stayed to deal with him, while it went to look for the villages. Neji freed them in the meanwhile, and he sent us up. He stayed back to launch this thing. She hiccupped again. I don't know what happened to Naruto and Sasuke, but since the ruins are heading straight for the ocean, I think they won. More tears slipped down her face. Kakashi turned away and watched helplessly with grief and dread, as in the distance, the ruins of Sora no Kuni plummeted towards the ocean. Neji gasped, as he saw the chakra around Sasuke take shape. First, massive purple ribs, and then a skeleton, which them formed into a humanoid shape and then got equipped with samurai armor and massive wings. Kongan, Susanoo, Sasuke exclaimed. Origin, he with the ability to help by all means. The warrior's form condensed around them, and Neji actually found his feet planted on solid chakra. The 3 of them were inside what seemed to be a dome, as the massive Tengu-like chakra creation flew through the air. That was an unexpected, but welcome change. Instead of falling to their deaths with the ruins, they were flying. He activated his Byakugan and looked around, and indeed, the whole thing was condensed, physically visible chakra. And some people in his clan said that Sasuke's chakra was weak, compared to what Naruto had. Oh, what fools. As he allowed his eyes to fade, he looked at the two. What is this? Susanoo, an ability of the Mangekyo Sharingan, allows the one in possession of the dojutsu to manifest an avatar from their own chakra that acts on their behalf. Attack, defense, supplementary, whichever you need. Sasuke explained matter-of-factly. Neji hummed. Neat. But, doesn't it cost much chakra? It costs more than most abilities accessible to Mangekyo, but it doesn't cost as much as you assume. Sasuke said. But I'll definitely be lightheaded by the time we land. Neji sighed in relief. So this meant they would be able to land safely. He stumbled a bit, as Sasuke steered the avatar towards the coast, but the Uchiha caught him. Hey, careful. If it sets you off so much, you can use some chakra to stick to the surface. Ototo does that all the time. I might just do that too, he murmured, happy, when Sasuke dragged him back on steady feet. Kakashi's eye went wide, when he caught sight of the massive purple something, flying towards them. He pulled up his headband to see what it was and his jaw went slack under the mask. Chakra. Pure chakra. Susanoo. Sasuke pulled off Susanoo again. He hadn't even registered the first time around, that the avatar had wings. Well, all the better, it meant his students would be safe. What is that? Asked Shino from next to him. Kakashi hummed. That, Shino, is the reason you should never piss of Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto was weary to the bone, when they finally made it back to Konoha. Sasuke looked like he would sleep for an entire day, not that Naruto was surprised. After expelling chakra to fight Thathing, he still pulled off Susanoo for a pretty long time, to land them on the beach. And, while on the way back, they stopped at the ruins of Amaru's village and they worked their not-so-little miracle, as the villagers called it. Sasuke burned down the still smoldering, smoking ruins and then, they buried it all under the ground. The ash would do well for the soil, after all. And then, with a little ninshu and mokuton, the place was revitalized and sturdy houses made of chakra-enhanced ironwood were raised out of the ground. He told the people that he'd rather not grow their food, as such food had big quantities of chakra in them, that civilians usually couldn't stand, especially Nathis chakra, with how powerful and dense it was. However, he assured them that the crops would partially absorb some of the chakra expelled now, which would make sure that their food grew a bit faster than normal. The people were so happy that the joyous calls of saviors followed them during the short stay at the village and they even echoed for a good 5 minutes after leaving. But now they were back in the village, which was the best thing of the week, Naruto decided. It seemed the village was in bad shape, but not as bad as he would have thought. Ninja and civilians were busy with the repairs, but as they passed, the people stopped to stare and then greet them with wide smiles, exaggerated bows and loud calls of, "Long live the Senju! Long live the Uchiha!" And, "Arigato, Senju-sama, Uchiha-sama." You can't be serious, Sasuke murmured. We weren't even here. How the hell do they know we saved them? Kakashi chuckled next to them. Some, who know you better cleared up some confusion about the chains and the white fire, alto both are pretty unique and known. And there was a squad we sent back here, while you caught your breath, to depart for Amaru's village. Ibit the squad's report is flying around as an exaggerated rumor, by now. Hence the villagers' enthusiasm. Naruto chuckled, as they continued the trek through the village. They were too tired, mentally speaking, alto the ache in the muscles couldn't be ignored either, to properly concentrate and hop along the rooftops. So instead, they walked like civilians, leaning on their shakujo for a bit of extra support. Suddenly a girl with blue hair, about 9, ran up to them, offering a small basket. The mouth-watering scent of freshly baked goods filled Naruto's nose and he needed all his self-control not to snatch it rudely from her grasp, as his stomach knotted with hunger. Thank you for saving us, Uchiha-sama, Senju-sama, she said happily, offering the basket. Naruto smiled and he shared a short glance with his brother. Sasuke took a step closer and took the basket from her with a small smile. Thank you. But Konoha's our home too, so we'll keep it safe. Naruto hummed and gently grasped her wrist. She looked up at him with wide gray eyes. Your name, little one? Ayako, she answered shyly. Naruto smiled. Beautiful name. He spiked his chakra abbot and her eyes snapped to their joined hands. As he pulled back, there was a small wreath of flowers curled around her wrist. Her eyes went wide with wonder and then she looked up at him. Be beautiful, arigato. You're welcome. Thank you for the food, he said. She beamed at him again and then she hurried away and Naruto spotted her standing with her parents, proudly showing the flowers to them. Let's go you two, or we'll never reach the office to report. Kakashi nudged them, if we don't report, you don't get to rest. Naruto threw the silver-haired John an honesty look, before they continued towards the Hokage office. Gods knew this would be a long report. Seems you're heroes again, Itachi said in greeting, as they stumbled into the house. Sasuke smiled wryly at his brother. Well, you see, Oni-san, being the sons of Aman, like Otsutsuki Hagoromo means, that we have things to keep in mind. Things to prioritize and pieces of utmost priority. Itachi huffed softly, alto Sasuke could see his dark eyes flash fondly. Of course, of course. But you chided me about taking care of myself and now look at you. Off you go. Rest. I'll get some food ready, so you can eat. Any special wishes? They shared a look and then he looked at Itachi again. My godmother's homemade ramen with extra Naruto top, please, he laughed. Behind him Naruto was muttering, that his name, totally mean Mealstorm, thank you very much, with a sulky look on his face, but in the end, he laughed too. Itachi chuckled, ruffling his hair. And his dignity be damned, as one of the strongest people of the world, he enjoyed when Itachi did that. Very well. Get Ashura and a change of clothes. I think for the next few days you'll be free, so you can recuperate from this. A few days later, Sasuke hummed, looking down at the genjutsu seal he'd been tampering with, as a form of rest, after Naruto helped clear up some small things about how such things should work. He knew his fair share of fuinjutsu, yes, but Naruto was still better and he preferred to have his brother check his experiments, before he blew up half of Konoha. His chakra was certainly powerful enough, and the powerful affinity towards fire, lightning didn't help at all. In fact, it further increased his chakra's volatile nature. It was night and the sky was inky blue, most of the village asleep by now. He could only sense a few passing Anbu patrols here and there, otherwise the village was dark, only the Akasan's lights still bright. Otherwise, only the full moon provided him with light, but that wasn't a problem. Shinobi learned to operate in the dark, and being a wielder of the Sharingan, meant that his vision was naturally sharper than a normal person's. The fact that his eyes were currently active, to help him spot every little curve of the seal, further sharpened his vision. So it wasn't hard to spot the faint movement and the signature, just a shadow of a real shinobi. It felt vaguely familiar, malevolent in a way, and it made him tense. Who's there? He called out, voices chilling, as a Hyoten uses signal ray. The shadows moved fast. If not for his Sharingan, he would have said it was too fast to be followed, and then, several feet away, a familiar formless shadow appeared, now looking more human than ever, all too still mostly featureless. But the round, unnaturally yellow eyes were unmistakable. Indra-sama. Zetsu, he spoke, careful to keep his voice as blank and commanding, as the creature had always known it. You're still around. So you remember. I was waiting for your return, it answered, bowing a bit. I hoped you may remember, during one of the reincarnations. It happened now, he answered in a blank tone, I remember. And Asura's current incarnate. It prodded. Naruto? He asked sharply, trying to sneak as much hate and contempt into his voice as possible. He has the same signature, yes, and the Mokuton again, like at the dawn, but naught else. He's clueless. A world think that it's Kyuubi who stopped him from remembering. It does have a great dislike for our lines. Good. It means we may proceed. This time, Asura won't be able to stop us, you from reaching your goal. You may have the power and the world shall know true peace, under your guidance. Sasuke twitched inwardly. He'd noticed the small slip up, us, so that was it. Zetsu had never wanted him in power. No, it wanted itself and the Shinju in control. There is a relative of yours. He had the Sanbi under his control, until yourself and the Senju intervened. It hindered us somewhat. I came to tell you, that he may yet be useful. It's unneeded to hinder him. He is nowhere near as powerful as you, but he is skilled nonetheless. Sasuke scowled. You call that power? Gianta had more power, when he was Akald, and Shachi did not have the Sharingan, he said. Zetsu dipped his head. I'm aware of that, Indra-sama. However, as you know, many are hindered by mortal limits, the way you never were. Those who are involved in this, may yet prove useful. You only have to deal with Asura's current incarnate. Sasuke hummed, giving Zetsu a sharp look. The creature shrunk under it. You're reordering me. He growled out, releasing a wave of K intent, his eyes morphing into the Mangekyo. Zetsu's eyes went wide and then he bowed low. Indra-sama. Never. It was merely making a suggestion. Asura's incarnate may prove an obstacle in the future. An obstacle I will deal with, in the right time. That has yet to wait. He is the Kyuubi's host, something I'm sure you know. His continued existence may yet prove useful, or at least, entertaining. Do not be impatient. Now that I am fully reborn, I shall not make the same mistakes, as before. For now, let the fools believe, I stand with them. And when he does not expect, Amaterasu's flames will consume all he loves, and so, I shall have what is rightfully mine. Zetsu nodded again. Of course, of course. Shall it proceed then? With the plan? Sasuke gave a small nod. You may. Thank you, Indra-sama. Zetsu bowed again and then turned away, to disappear into the shadows. However, before he disappeared completely, Sasuke called out. Zetsu. The creature stopped and peered at him with those unnerving, round yellow eyes. Hi, Indra-sama. Who's that dances to our tunes? He asked, once more trying to sneak some contempt into his tone. Zetsu's mouth curved into an unerringly wide, sharp smile. It reminded him too much of the Ribi and he needed all his willpower not to shudder. A descendant of yours. His name is Uchiha Obito, and with that, Zetsu was gone. Sasuke groaned tiredly, as he fell onto the cold, dewy grass. Best Actor of the Millennia Award goes to Tsuzuki Indra. Yippee. The next morning, as the three of them sat by the table, he decided to break the news. Last night, Zetsu paid me a friendly visit. Naruto's eyes narrowed and Itachi see on his bite. He coughed and Sasuke hurriedly patted his back. After a moment, he was fine again, which was a relief. Itachi frowned. What and from you? What do you know of Zetsu, Tachi? Itachi shook his head. Not much. Only that his two halves, a white and a black one, can sometimes act separately, for a short amount of time. He is Akatsuki's spy and Madara's ear and mouth in the organization. Alter, I'm unaware how much of an influence he has in the happenings. Sasuke nodded. Well, I don't know anything about a white half, because I only know one Zetsu. Dark and formless, like a shadow. Zetsu's that old. Itachi murmured, see on his food again. Before Sasuke could answer that, Naruto added his own 2 cents. Wonderful. Naruto grunted, what happened? Sasuke shook his head. Nothing much. I made him believe you were entirely clueless of your past life and that I despise you still. I made him believe, you still had my old let's bring peace trough power objective in mind. I think I'd give an award for good acting skills, he smiled wryly. Anyway, I managed to scare him a bit. You scared Zetsu? Itachi asked in shock. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Naive Oni-san. Being the son of the Rikudo Sennin means equal parts respect and fear. And, I might have been Abbot, be in the past, hence why Zetsu is wary. You are? Okay, Itachi murmured, his eyes just a fraction wider than normal. So, I managed to scare him Abbot and got the real name of the Madara wannabe. Both of his brother's eyes went wide, and Sasuke couldn't help the triumphant smirk that crossed his features. He waited a bit for extra effect, which caused both of them to lean closer to him in anticipation. Uchiha Obito. Itachi see again. After the initial shock, Itachi filled them in about Obito and both of them had been a bit taken aback by the information. To think a loved student of Namikaze Minato, an embodiment of the will of fire, would turn away from everything, to plan the destruction of the world. It was just a bit too much. However, they really didn't have time to worry about that. They may know who was behind the mask, but it didn't mean that they could be careless. Obito had proved that he was dangerous and that he was willing to do anything to achieve his goals. But their frantic discussion and planning, they decided not to tell Kakashi, as it might break him, was broken by a hurried knock on the door. Naruto darted over and opened it, to find a wide-eyed Hinata standing in the door. Her emotions and body language were a total mess. Fear, worry, confusion. Hinata. And Naruto, please come. Fast. Neji's sick and it seems to be very bad. I'm worried. We all are. His eyes went wide and for a second, their worries about Zetsu and Obito were shoved into the background. Neji needed help. Ni-sama. He called sharply and then he leapt out the door. Sasuke was there in a flash, confused only for a second. Then, his eyes hardened, as he saw the trembling, worried Hinata. Naruto grabbed Hinata and then they were gone in a shunshin. Hyuga compound. As they landed in front of the house, Hinata wrenched herself from his grasp and ran inside, her usual composure nowhere to be seen. Naruto threw a worried look at Sasuke and then they hurried inside. The many Hyuga they passed greeted them with soft, strained smiles. The worry was palpable in the air. So, the entire clan knew of Neji's condition. Hinata took 2 turns and they followed her wordlessly. Then she stopped at one of the tatami doors not far from where the main family's living quarters were. Now that the clan stood united, Hiashi had taken Neji into his guardianship and in an unofficial way, he was also seen as a member of the main family and thus, he got new place to live. She tore the tatami open and hurried in. Neji's room was homey and well organized, a lot like Sasuke's, Naruto noted. Altar, where his brother preferred red, purple, blue and black with some white thrown in, as the room's colors, Neji's were mostly pastel colors with some brown and black. Neji was curled on his bed, obviously in pain, and Hiashi sat next to him on a chair. Little Hanabi sat on the bed, one of her hands curled into Neji's. They walked over and Naruto crouched next to Neji. Neji, hey, can you hear me? He called softly. Neji grunted. Yeah, it just hurts so much. Naruto frowned in worry. He looked at Hiashi to ask what happened, but Sasuke beat him to it. When did this happen? Hiashi sighed. Since you came back from dealing with the Soranin, he did say he was feeling odd. Some of our medics checked him and they said it might just be exhaustion and stress, so he spent the days resting. This morning he said he was feeling a bit better, so when Akio asked him for a spa, he agreed. A few minutes into the spa, when he used chitin, Naruto frowned, his hands glowing green, as he ran a quick check. Where does it hurt? Everywhere. Neji whined, as if my chakra was burning. But, I think my eyes are the worst. If Adojutsu uses says that, it's never good, he thought in worry. His hands kept glowing and then his eyes went wide. Aha felt it. What? He murmured. Just how did that happen? What's wrong with him? Hanabi asked, her usual composure breaking. In that moment, she looked very much like the young girl she was. His chakra is burning. It's in chaos. Shot his control and everything else in his body. That's why he feels the pain, because his chakra isn't flowing the way it's supposed to. Chakra is in balance within the body, hence why we can use it in various ways. Right now, he does not have that balance in his body. Can you do something? Hiashi asked. Naruto's eyes flickered to the suffering Neji. Curled in a ball, his eyes squeezed shut, a few tears streaming down his face. I might be able to, but it may hurt. It can't be worse than this, Naruto. Neji murmured, just make it stop. He nodded and then channeled some chakra, carefully mixing the regular healing chakra with some mokuton. Ninshu, Chito's no Iashi. Shinobi Creed, 1,000 years of healing. The green chakra gained a soft gold undertone and then he placed his hands on Neji. One on his forehead, the other above his heart. Slowly, Neji's pose eases and his muscles relaxed. Naruto felt that minute by minute, the burning chaos was lessening, turning into the natural, soft flow. He allowed himself to feel some relief. Click. His breath shuddered at the sudden feeling, as his chakra lurched in Neji's body. It was as if something had been put back in place. Something that had been misplaced and buried for a long while. Shaking his head, he finished the healing, running his hands over the Hyuga's body. After good 5 seconds, he drew away, letting the chakra from his hands flicker out. Are you okay now? Neji smiled. Yeah, feels much better. Calm. He huffed softly and then Neji opened his eyes, as he sat up. Naruto gaped. Hanabi, Hinata and Hiashi gasped, their eyes going wide. Sasuke see. Shinju have mercy. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.